Welcome to the next stage of our adventures. Graham and I are in the Adelaide area for the next 3 days. The first day we're going to spend exploring the city of Adelaide, and day 2 we're going to take a long trip to Kangaroo Island. The third day we're going to spend in the Barossavalley. Apparently it's very good for wine. Please come along with us and join us on our fun trip.
Adelaide's built on a grid system, and the actual central part of Adelaide's in a square, and it's surrounded by north, south, east and west terraces. We're currently walking down the east terrace, just coming up from the botanical gardens, and the whole city is surrounded by this circle of parkland, which was designed to keep the noise down and also to help purify the air and keep the city cool. It's a very attractive setup. Coming off East Terrace, we've turned into Rundle Street, which is a really long street. At one end they've got all the shopping centres, but at this end, just by the East Terrace, the road is covered with lots and lots of really nice eateries on both sides of the road. So I'm sure we'll be taking a visit down here this evening to try out the local cuisine. It all looks very interesting. Out of all the cities we've seen so far here in Australia, Adelaide seems to be the one which has the most of the older style properties still left remaining, which is really very nice. Lots of little side alleyways and here we are in Adelaide Central Market. See if we can find a bargain, something nice to eat. It's only just opening up at the moment, so quite a lot of the stalls are still closed, but we'll have a wander around anyway.
Looking good so far.
I must admit, all the veg produce looks absolutely fantastic. Huge, great big watermelons along here and pumpkins. All kinds of stuff. Jelly.
Nice jellies, yeah.
Yeah, I'll make you laugh.
A bit. Dried fish, beef jerky.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a really good time of the day to come to the market just as it's opening up, because you haven't got so many people. But you don't get I suppose you don't get the feel for how buzzy this place is. But I say the veg produce is fantastic. Lots of little places to stop and have coffee and all that kind of thing.
Nice bakery.
Bakery here. As we come out of one end of the market, we move into the Chinatown area of the city. Let's have a wander along here, see what we can find. Just coming up to the gate to Chinatown. I don't know if this is the entry or the exit gate. We'll probably turn around and walk back the other way in a minute. Just walking along North Terrace now, which is adjacent to the river on one side and the city on the other, and we're walking towards the museum of South Australia and a few other galleries along here, along with the university. Behind us is the Parliament office, so it's quite an attractive street, this one, on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side that's juxtaposed by the modern city of Adelaide. We're just walking past the memorial to all the soldiers and other people who lost their lives during the First World War. Quite rightly so, quite an imposing monument to those people who fell in the 1418 war. On the city side, there's a very interesting mix of old and modern. Right down the centre, separating the old from the new, is this lovely tree-lined avenue. Very nicely designed. If you continue walking down this road, you go past the University of South Australia and then go on to the botanical gardens. And all of these are butting up to the river. Some quite stunning Victoriana buildings. Go past the State Library. And here we are, the entrance to the South Australian Museum. So looking forward to having a look inside here. This modern front is bookended by two rather beautiful older buildings, one on the left here, and then the one mirroring it on the right. Very lovely.
"Will you walk into my parlour?" said the spider to the fly. "'Tis the prettiest little parlour that ever you did spy." With a web this size, I'm glad we didn't meet the spider.
The museum and art gallery in Victoria is absolutely fantastic. There's a whole range of different exhibits here, and the beauty of the place is that they're all mixed up, so you don't walk into a room full of 17th century paintings and then a room of 18th century paintings. They're more mixed up together, and it gives you a really exciting feel of the whole place. Well worth a visit.
Adelaide is the 5th most populous city of Australia. The city is surrounded by parklands. It's got a lovely blend of historic buildings, wide streets, cafes, restaurants, very compact and easily accessible. It's a UNESCO city of music, lots of independent markets and beautiful botanic gardens. It's a wine centre of the world. There are great museums and art galleries and one of the best universities in Australia. It has the Adelaide Fringe Festival, which is the second biggest annual arts festival after Edinburgh. There are some fantastic shopping opportunities in Rundle Street with its mall, the Adelaide Arcade and many, many, many more shops and outlets. A great place to visit.
We finished our day off at the Icarus Wine Bar on Peel Street with some lovely food and a couple of ice-cold pints of beer. The end to an absolutely lovely day.
So there's the ferry we came over on, first view of the island. Now we're going to find a bus for our tour.
Kangaroo Island lies off the mainland of South Australia. Over a third of the island is a protected nature reserve and home to sea lions, koalas and diverse bird species. In the west of the island, the Flinders Chase National Park is known for penguin colonies and striking coastal rock formations like Remarkablerocks and the Admiralsarch.
Seal Bay on the south coast has been home to the Australian sea lion population for thousands of years. It's the third largest colony in Australia. The bay is protected and you can only get down to the beach by a boardwalk with a guide who ensures that you do not disturb or frighten these beautiful creatures.
Here we are at the base of the Remarkablerocks. There are a granite outcrop right up the coast. Next stop, Antarctica. I'm going to take a closer look at these. They look quite interesting.
After Remarkablerocks, we parked at the lighthouse by Admiralsarch and walked down to the sea and the naturally formed beautiful arch. Well worth the walk down.
After seeing the beautiful arch, we made our way back to the ferry, but we stopped off at Kangaroo Island Wildlife Park, which had a collection of really beautiful, lovely animals. Matthew Flinders, the famous sea captain and explorer, was the first to make landfall here on Kangaroo Island, and interestingly, after a long voyage at sea, all the sailors were sick of eating fish. They noticed that there were large populations of kangaroos, so they spent their time virtually eating the whole population. Fortunately, the population has now recovered. We caught the ferry back to the mainland and drove back to Adelaide and arrived back in our hotel at 10 o'clock in the evening.
It's day 3 and we went to the Barossavalley on a wine tasting tour. How lucky are we? Our first stop was at the Pindarlieestate vineyard, farm and cellar door. It's owned by Wendy Allen and Tony Brooks. It has a 100-acre vineyard and a 750-acre farm. The farm buildings and cellar door have been lovingly restored and are set in beautiful surroundings. The farm is located on the western ridge of the Barossavalley and has expansive views of the Barossa Ranges. It offers award-winning regional wines for tasting and buying, and provides locally sourced gourmet seasonal lunches. It was a great place to visit, and the Tempolino and Shiraz were just to die for.
As we drove towards our next stop in Nuriootpa, we came across the beautiful little town of Tenunda. It's an Aboriginal name meaning waterhole. It's a very pretty little town, looking very similar to a small British town with its Victorian villas and colonial buildings. We arrived in nuriootpa, which is quite famous for all of its cellar doors, including the famous penfolds. We walked past penfolds but didn't go in because we tend to drink quite a lot of that in the UK anyway, so we wandered down the road to see if we can find a new place to go and try.
On the search of wine. What a great occupation.
Great ski trip.
Home of the brave. I don't know if that means that the wine's awful or it's really nice. Home of mother's milk, which is a Shiraz.
Home of the brave is the home to firstdropwines and the fantastic named Mother's Milk, which is a Shiraz. It's been described as a wine to drink because it's full of flavour, texture and a splash of funk.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, how are you?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, great space.
After nuriootpa, we went on to the famous Lambert's estate and their cellar door, just south of Augaston, for yet more wine tasting. Well, someone has to do it. But fortunately, we also had some lunch in their restaurant too. We had amazing food and lovely wine, and then, for afters, we had the most amazing chocolate port. Delicious.
The last stop of the day was at the Barossavalley Chocolate Company, a winery and chocolate factory just outside Tenunda. What a great combination. We had a chocolate and wine pairing tasting there. It was interesting. Watched chocolate being made and bought supplies for our continuing trip.
Here's Shirley, like a kid in a sweet shop. Oh, she is in the sweet shop. Look what she's got in her hands. Oh, more chocolate.
Oh, but it's coffee chocolate.
Coffee chocolate.
And macadamia chocolate.
What else are you after?
For something milk chocolate. Either sultanas. Yeah, I think I'll go for sultanas.
Sultana, there we go. That'll keep us going on the bus till we get back to the hotel.
then, after a long and hard working day tasting wine, we made our way back in a very slightly wobbly fashion to Adelaide.
We're off to Western Australia next, halfway through our trip. Please join us on the next part of our adventure as we fly to Perth and spend some time in Fremantle. Hope you've enjoyed Adelaide, the Barossavalley and Kangaroo Island. Thanks for watching. See you soon, and please don't forget to subscribe.